Good afternoon. I would like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. At this time, I'd like to call the October 13th, 2020 Planning Board meeting to order. May I ask everyone to stand with us for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. Do any members have any conflicts of interest or disqualifications with respect to any of the items on the agenda tonight? Hearing none, we have a quorum present with 6 people. Are there any changes to tonight's agenda? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion for approval of the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda is approved. Are there any changes to the July 14th, 2020 meeting minutes? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion for approval of the minutes as presented.
I'll make the motion.
All right.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. I don't believe we have any old business. So, moving on. We have PB 2015 Tractor Supply Company text amendment. Request to amend the Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 4 Use Standards and Chapter 10 Definitions and Measurements to allow large outdoor display and storage areas and display areas that are not directly adjacent to the principal structure for agriculture and support and service uses. And Jason.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Buddy.
I'll just leave that up there so you can look at it while I start. I'm just going to begin by giving a little bit of background about our current language for outdoor storage and display. That came about some years ago when we had issues with cluttering of the NC-12 corridor over on the beach side, mainly with beach items, but any number of items. And so we wrote an ordinance whose goal was to pull those items back off the road closer to the building and also to limit the amount of them that could be out front, just to kind of clean up the way the beach looked over there. And unfortunately, it didn't take into consideration a business like Tractor Supply or large agricultural retail business that may have items that you couldn't store inside of a building because of their size. And so that's where we are now. That's why we're here for this text amendments, to try to accommodate their operational needs that weren't considered at the time the ordinance was written back when. And so I'm just going to start going over the changes to those sections. If you have any questions while I'm going over these, please ask. This is an amendment to Chapter 4. In which case we've actually added a new use under the agricultural support and services category. This would be use number 4, agricultural retail facilities. And this is actually the reason why we have an amendment to Chapter 10, because we needed a definition of that, and I'll go over that here in a little while. So the changes include, A, the following items are allowed within outdoor display and sales within the agricultural support and services use, and it goes down a list of things that you would typically see at Tractor Supply, including fencing materials, pet and livestock equipment and feed, piping, trailers, tool rental, pedal boats, all-terrain vehicles and utility vehicles, lawn and garden equipment, including but not limited to mowers, plows, tillers, cultivators, fertilizers, spreaders, seeders, bale carriers, etc. So large items And just for some context, if I'm not mistaken, these would be located in any of these three areas, the yellow area being the larger outdoor display, the green areas being those sidewalk displays out front, and also the pink area, which is located between the building and the street. All right, moving on to changes to outdoor display areas associated with agricultural support and services are exempt from sections. Okay, now this is exempting them from the original outdoor display and sales languages. So 433R2 and 433R4. And instead of being subject to those original rules, they would be subject to these criteria here. All outdoor display of goods shall be located immediately adjacent to the storefront or building sides, with the exception of a non-building adjacent or detached outdoor display area of up to 17% of the building's square footage allowed between the building and the street frontage. And again, that would be this pink area here in the front. Outdoor display areas are not to be placed in drive aisles, loading zones, fire lanes, or parking lots. Number 2, non-building adjacent or detached outdoor display areas shall be screened with a type A buffer yard. Option 2 with shrubs, or you could choose type B, options 1 or 2, which both include shrubs. So that basically means there are going to be some plantings there in front of that pink display area, just to kind of soften the effect. It won't be opaque, it won't be something that you can't see through, but it will soften the look of it. Total area of outdoor display associated with agricultural support and services shall not be limited by length, whereas in the old ordinance it said you can only be half of the building frontage. So that will no longer apply, but it will be limited in size to 125 square feet of the overall building square footage. And notice that it says the total of outdoor display, and so it would be all those areas combined, yellow, green, and pink, shown on the site plan, will be limited to 125% of the square footage of the building, which is the gray area. And that is large enough to accommodate all of their outdoor display areas. Number 4, outdoor display areas adjacent to the building, excluding sidewalk display areas, which were those green areas right next to the building in the front, shall be contained by a fence for aesthetics and security reasons. The fence shall be either wrought iron, powder-coated aluminum, or similar material with decorative columns, for example, stone or brick, adjacent to any street frontage. So that would be areas around fenced areas, decorative fenced areas around the yellow and pink, excluding the green sidewalk areas. Am I mistaken? Not the pink. Not the pink. We might want to clear that up because it says sidewalks.
It says not adjacent to the building.
Okay, excellent. So yeah, not the pink. So basically just the yellow one where the larger items are kept. Yep. Okay. And these are changes within the old outdoor display and sales sections that basically just exempt these type of uses, the agricultural support services uses. And then the third one there does specify that even though we had previously prohibited gases and that sort of thing, hazardous materials in those areas, that these type uses, sites designated as agricultural support and services uses may include storage and sale of propane and welding gas. There's another one of those that I mentioned to you earlier that wasn't in your staff report, the welding gas portion. And all storage and handling must meet the applicable North Carolina Fire Code and all appropriate state and federal regulations. And here's a small amendment to the definition section. We're just adding a definition of agricultural retail facility. It's pretty basic. just a facility where the principal use is retail sale of products related to agriculture. So that's pretty straightforward. So the requested text amendment generally appears to be consistent with the goals, policies, and objectives of the 2006 Land Use Plan. The 2006 Land Use Plan includes the following policies related to large outdoor display areas not adjacent to the principal structure, and the items to be displayed in those areas. Policy ED1, CD1, CD4, and Policy BI3 of the Moyock Small Area Plan, just to name a few. And the request is reasonable in the public interest because it will allow Tractor Supply to maintain their typical operations within Currituck County, where the business will provide citizens with much-needed retail services. And I would again remind you that if you make a motion to please note that there are changes to the language that are in the presentation that are not in your staff report. So if you could mention that when you make your motion, that would be most helpful. And that concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Are there any questions for Jason? Is there anyone present to represent the case tonight? Please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Kathleen Saunders, and I'm with Quabble & Associates, and we're located at 8466 Currituck Highway. We're here to represent Moyock Development Group, and I'm here to answer any technical questions you may have related to the text amendment or the site plan.
All right. Any questions? Anybody? No, I think you got an easy one tonight. Yes, ma'am. All right, I'll open the floor for public comment if there's anyone here that wishes to speak on it. Don't see anybody, so we'll close the public hearing. Nope. All right, does anybody else have any questions, discussion? Anything? Nope. Well, I think this is great. Glad to see it. I commend whoever put it together, and, if you guys are happy, I'm happy.
It's
So-
needed.
Yes, it's wonderful. All right, that's all I got to say. We'll open the floor for a motion.
I move to approve PB 20-15 according to the terms set forth in the presentation because the request is consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the land use plan, including policy ED1, new and expanding industries and businesses should be especially encouraged. That 1, diversify the local economy, 2, train and utilize a more highly skilled labor force, and 3, are compatible with the environmental quality and natural amenity-based economy of Currituck County. And the request is reasonable and in the public interest because Tractor Supply Company's product line is in harmony with the rural lifestyle of Currituck County and will provide a needed retail service to the community.
Would you mind adding the changes that Jason?
I mentioned that as
Sorry.
I believe.
Then we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Which one of you wants to be?
Juanita can have it.
All right. Juanita. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Good? All right, well, we don't have any other items, so does anybody have any announcements they'd like to make?
Let me give you, planning board members, an update on the campgrounds, that text amendment. We were directed, and forgive me, I can't remember when we last met and the update that we gave you. The Board of Commissioners directed staff to do some stakeholder meetings with the neighbors surrounding the campgrounds and also the campground operators. We did a modified version of that because of the pandemic. We did send out a survey. We created a survey, and we sent that link out we mailed it out to neighbors within 1,000 feet, Cherie? 1,000 feet of the campgrounds that we had. So they were notified of that, and they could respond, and we've asked them to please share that with their however they get information out through their community. If they have, Kiwanis Club, they post things, or if they have a Facebook page, social media page, however they get information out to their community, we ask them to share that. And we've also met with 3 of the 4 campgrounds individually to get the operator campground input. And we will be, right now we are scheduled to present that to the Board of Commissioners at the November 2nd, they're meeting the work session on that. We still have to meet with one of we have to meet with the KOA, and that takes a little bit more scheduling because the people that we're going to meet with are not on site, so a little bit more scheduling logistics. So we want to keep you guys updated on that as well. And I don't know if you have any questions about any of the planning board items that you guys have voted on or dealt with and seen over the past specific questions, you're welcome to ask me at this point. So, okay.
No, we missed you. We're glad to be back.
We've got work to do. We've got a lot of work to do, I think, over the next few months.
All right. Thank you. Anybody else? Nope. I'll just say again, I think the Tractor Supply is pretty cool. Glad to see it.
We're very happy to bring it.
Well,
We're excited,
congratulations.
especially since I was just saying yesterday.
I think it'll do quite well. Motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second.